So it's 4 a.m. on the 15th of October 2020, and I've been awake for a while, just thinking. I don't know why I'm sharing with the world like this, but I'm just inclined to, so I'm doing it. But people watching, I don't know if you know I've had a brain injury, and it's affected my memory a great deal. I simply don't have a memory. Not really, anyway. I have very patchy knowledge of my whole life. But something that's been on my mind for some reason is my dad. And what it is I really regret my behaviour to my dad. I was thoughtless and ungrateful. I simply didn't behave well towards my dad. I wasn't considerate. I didn't understand what he did for me. And he was basically a great man. He did a fantastic job in raising me. He must have worked so hard and had so much worry and concern about me. I'm a father now, and I don't even remember my own children due to my injury. But I'm still concerned about them, despite not even knowing them. And I'm thinking the way I'm feeling, and he was actually with me and raised me by himself as a single parent. And he was old when he raised me. He was born in 1919. So when he had me, he would have been 54. And he raised me by himself. And I realize now that he did that because he didn't trust anyone else to raise me. He cared about me too much to let anyone else take care of me. And when I think of the women that were there and they helped raise me, I realized he was doing it for me. Some of what he was doing, he cared about me so much, and I just didn't understand it, didn't appreciate it. Didn't occur to me what he was doing for me, and his thought about me and his caring for me, and I was ungrateful and selfish, and I wasn't loving towards him. I didn't think about him. It didn't occur to me what he did for me, and I regret that more than I could say. He deserved so much more from me, but I basically didn't act towards him like I loved him. I was too self-involved and too uncaring and annoyed that I didn't have more in life. I wanted more than I had, even though what I had was fantastic. I just didn't appreciate it at all. I regret that about my behaviour so much. He deserves so much more from me, and I was basically an awful child. I wasn't misbehaved or anything. I didn't misbehave or anything like that. It wasn't that kind of thing. But I didn't regard him in the right way. I didn't respect him properly and know what he did for me. I was just self-involved and had no understanding of the effort he must put into raising me as a single parent. And I realize now that the women he did associate with, he picked really carefully so that the women were good to me and thought of me as well. In other words, he picked women for me, thinking of me principally rather than himself. And I just didn't realize at all what he did for me. And I hate that about myself. I'm so angry with myself for not realizing what he did for me. I don't even know my own children because of my injury. But even so, I'm still caring towards them and I'm still worried about them. So I'm trying to imagine if I did know them, how much I would care and how much I would worry. And he went through that. He cared and worried for me. And he was old when he had me and when he was taking care of me by himself, mostly. And when he did pick a woman, Jackie, her name was, he was careful in his choice to make sure she would be good to me. I think I was the first thought, the first thing on his mind when choosing Jackie to be with. My dad was a great man, and I simply didn't realize it when he was alive. And he deserves so much more from me. I'm so disappointed in myself for not realizing at all. My dad was an astounding man. He was fantastic to do what he did for me at his age. So I'm 47 and I already feel too old to be taking care of kids. And he had me when he was 54. It's just absolutely amazing what he did for me. I was an awful child in the sense that I didn't consider him. I wasn't considerate, I wasn't thoughtful, I wasn't properly loving towards him. I was too selfish for that. It's absolutely amazing to behave so badly towards him in terms of how I felt about him. My behavior was generally good. I was a decent child in that respect. But my feelings towards him was inappropriate. He deserved a lot more. And I basically didn't love him properly. Now, X years after his death, I'm appreciating him. He deserves so much more in life, and it didn't happen to him, and I regret that more than I can say. It's stunning what I'm realizing now. I'm 47 now, I'm finally realizing what I had from my dad. I don't know how many years ago we're talking about now. 40, 50 years ago. Absolutely incredible. And all I have now is regret that I just didn't love him. Wasn't considerate towards him, and it was just awful. What he did for me was amazing. I'm so lucky to have had him in my life. I wish I could fix it somehow. He was a pretty great man. And one of the main things is I realized he wouldn't be with another woman except for one that he picked, and Jackie, because he didn't trust a woman to take care of me. He wanted to do it himself. I had no understanding at all what he was doing for me. I regret that so much. I wish I could do something. How can I be 47 and finally realizing how great my dad was? I was cold towards him. I simply didn't understand. I really hate that about myself. I hate my ignorance of what he did for me.